Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. I'm excited because I have a fellow professional organizer, but also a friend, Dana LaRieal Morales, and we are going to be talking about the digital clutter because it is the beginning of the year, and I know between the emails and the orders and this and that and the other, you're probably a little overwhelmed and trying to figure out how to tackle it. So, Dana, welcome back.
Thank you. Always nice to be here.
So, before we get into the tips and strategies, what made you really decide to focus on like helping people with their digital clutter? Because that's something you really do well.
hmm Um, I would say that I got into it organically. For some of your listeners who don't know me, I work in corporate America full time. And then I have my entrepreneurship on the side. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. So all the situations with business, entrepreneurship, home, it all, I experienced them all. And so what I was seeing in my corporate world is we were going through the, just the struggles of paper and wanting to go paper light in the organization. And this was across the corporate structure that I was seeing this happening. And so anything that I do in corporate world, I try to equate in my not only my entrepreneurial world, but also my home life. And so I started making that shift myself. And so I was seeing the struggles that I was experiencing and making that shift. And I wanted to start teaching my clients to do this as well. And so that was kind of the introduction. And that was many years ago, probably I would say at least 6 years ago,
Okay.
that I started that transition over. And it was very slow because people were like, oh, we don't need to do this. A lot of the things that are electronic now were new to the world. And so you had people not really trusting it. It's not going to last. But me knowing kind of how electronics works because I work out of a IT area. So seeing what was coming, I began to teach that, and it has just gone gangbusters since then. Of course, with the pandemic, more and more businesses jumped in because they realized like we have to survive, and electronic was the way to go for that. So
So, Dana, what are we doing? I guess, why do we get so overwhelmed with it all? I mean, I know we've got all these wonderful things we can use and do, but why are we getting so overwhelmed with it all? I mean, even I sometimes with just the email can be like, how did it get to the point where now I have to really schedule some time, and I mean a
mhm,
chunk of time just to kind of go through and just really get rid of stuff. So how did
right,
we get to this place?
right. Is because electronic is completely different than paper, right? When you think about physical paper, it does not multiply unless you go to a copier and copy it, right? That is how it multiplied. Whereas with electronics and electronic files, they literally multiply themselves. So if you have, your computer and you have a file on your computer, depending on the settings that you have turned on, that can back up to one, two, three different places. So just by the mere fact that you saved it to your computer, it can multiply itself and it's hidden. So you don't necessarily know that it's doing that until you go and try to you're trying to find that special file on your computer and all of a sudden four come up and you're like, where did all these come from? Right. Or you get that message that says, hey, you're out of storage. And you're like, what is being stored? What is going on? That in itself is multiplying, right? And so when you're talking about email, if you're copied on an email, you can sign up for things. First of all, let's back up for a second. When you go to a store, when you go to a restaurant, what are the first things that they're asking you for? Is either a telephone number or email address, right? And because it's second nature, you're providing it. And so what they're doing is they're adding you to their email list. It's just become second nature. You start seeing those emails in your inbox. Do you really need them there? Do you really want to get these weekly emails, right? And so, I teach how to declutter that, how to deal with that world. But a lot of people just don't think about the fact that yes, I'm giving you your email. Yes, I know that I'm going to receive something from you, but I'm thinking, oh, it's discounts. Oh, it's this. But how often do you need that? And so all of these techniques, all of these new applications, all of these new things, they are just slowly growing over time. And then when you're going in your email looking for something business related, looking for something specific, now you've got, you don't have the 10 business emails that have come in, right? That you really need to do something with. You now have 100 emails that you have to search through. And you're like, how did I go? I just cleaned my inbox. How did I go from, 100 emails to 1,500? And it's because of this duplication of effort. It's because of the replies. It's because of all of this, just the shift of the world and how we use electronics, right? So,
And you're
um,
right. You're right because I mean, I'm thinking, yes, when you're always like, oh, we'll just send you the receipt via email. Well, the next thing you know, you are on their mailing list, or
mm-hmm,
you decide to sign up because you find something you finally want, and in order to get it, you got to give them the email so you can get to 10% or 20%
mm-hmm,
off, and before you know it, you're right. It like all piles up on you. So,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna have to be like a little bit more aware of that moving forward in the new year.
Yeah, and
Now,
it's
as
interesting. I'm sorry. It's interesting with the different methods that you can use to combat that. And there are going to be people, and I always tell my clients this is, I'm giving you methods, I'm giving you systems and processes that you can use, and it's going to seem weird, right? Because we're not used to thinking in that light. And how are we taking photos? How are we, collecting this information and setting up the process? And I really stress that because right before we got on air, we were talking about the techniques that are shared during TikTok and all these different things. And what happens is we get a tip from someone without the background of why that tip works for them. And so then we try to ingest that into our environment and it doesn't work. And so I caution anybody listening to this to make sure that you're getting the foundational knowledge underneath and layer on top of it, to make sure that whatever it is going to work for you and your environment and how you live and how you think.
Mm. Well, piggybacking off of that, in a new year, we've got new devices. And of course, you know, the thing is, oh, we're going to just organize everything. What are some things that people can do? You already talked about, and I think that was really great about what tips and strategies will work for you because there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot out there. And a lot of times, they may be great for somebody else, but for you, in order to not only utilize it, but maintain it, and I'll say
Mm-hmm.
that again, maintaining is a big part of staying organized.
Right.
What are some things that people can do in this new year, fresh start, and really just trying to get back on track in regards to conquering the digital clutter? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting my pen out right now, Dana. So,
Well, a couple of things that you can do is first of all, just evaluate what you use, right? What are you actually using and how do you use it on any of your electronic devices? Because I mean, if you think about it, majority of what we use, TVs, Alexas, I'm not pro, like elect whatever your electronic assistant is, right? All of these tools are electronic, and so therefore there is a potential of them either using electronic files or creating electronic files. So really evaluate what you actually have, and eliminating anything that you are not using anymore, because we shift in our lives, and so things that were important a year ago today may not be of need. And so you need to get that off of your system. You need to cleanse the files that those created too, because even the apps that we install on our mobile devices create files, right? They create,
yeah.
you think about, okay, here's a perfect example. So my family, my husband's family uses WhatsApp regularly to communicate because they're in Mexico. So when they send a communication, let's say it has a photo attached, as soon as the normal settings of that tool is as soon as you open that communication, it downloads the files to the pictures to your gallery on your phone. So when you open your gallery, all of a sudden you're seeing all these pictures. You're like, how did all these pictures get here? And I realized it was being automatically pulled down to my phone anytime I opened a message. So I just went in and changed the settings so it would not do that. Right. And so now if I want a photo, I have to physically go in and say download it. That is a simple settings change that you can make, to help eliminate that blowing up of the various files that you have, right? Um, sticking with the cell phone, and I typically start when I'm teaching with cell phones because that is what we all live and breathe with, right? But anytime you get a file and you're like, okay, let me see what this file is, it's downloading it on your phone, it's saving it to your phone. It's also in that email that you received. So whatever email system you're using is also on that email system on your computer. So when you think about what are you doing on your phone, what do you have to do on your phone, and setting some rules around that is going to be really important. So for me, if I get an email with an attachment, I do not open it on my phone unless it's absolutely necessary for me to view it right at that moment. Instead, I wait until I get to a physical device and then I download it because it is now put in a copy of that file on your computer. And so you either need to download it to your external hard drive, to your computer hard drive, wherever your place is. Hopefully you have a place. You need to designate where is that going to be. So those are just a couple of hints that I think anybody listening to this can incorporate today. But obviously, we have a lot more in our electronic clutter course as well as the email course that we have.
And that was good what you said about the apps and the photos.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm realizing because I'm an iPhone person. So if somebody takes a photo, then the next thing I know, it's on my phone. And I have to
Mm-hmm.
really kind of decide who I want to be able to share photos with me.
Right.
Usually my goddaughter, because she always takes the best pictures. So that's fine. But I don't need to have everybody to have access. And you are right with the apps. And then I'm the same way. I'll have my emails and I can read them on my phone, but I do not download them on my phone. I'll
Mm-hmm.
wait till I'm on a device. And also, what I've learned is because I have a tablet, the laptop, and this and that, but I only use my tablet for certain things. My email
Yes.
is not on there.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can send me photos on that. So I've really kind of protected that.
Yes.
So these were
That's
really
fabulous. I
these.
mean, and that alone will
Mm-hmm.
help keep that duplication of things from going across. We think about these features that the app, the tool set, Samsung, whoever's making the devices, Apple, whomever, they come up with these features, and then on the when you first hear about them, they're fabulous. They're the best thing ever. I can have it here and it's going to be all these other places. I don't have to worry about it. But is that really a good feature, right? For your use case? Do you have a need to have things duplicated across all your devices? Because that's also using up
No.
your memory. It's using up your storage. So think about that before you turn that on. Only sync things that really need to be synced across all of your devices.
Mm, mm. That is like the best advice we can take in this new year. So, Dana, my question to you is, do you have a favorite app or platform that you use to stay organized?
Now, Janet, I'm
I
sitting
know
here
you
like,
got a list of like 1,000, but can you just narrow it
I
down to
mean, I
maybe a
have a
couple?
lot of apps and tools and systems that I use.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very hesitant whenever I am sharing information to share those specific tools and apps. And the reason is
Okay.
because I believe that the process that you use is more important than the system or the tool,
Okay.
because
Okay.
that will help you determine which system or tool is going to be right for you, right?
Okay. All right.
Um, so no, I don't really, and I really don't. I mean, I have the ones that I'm using today, but
Okay.
if you had asked me a year ago, I was using something else. And the reason I shifted was not because that tool didn't work anymore. It was usually when I switch tools, it's either going to be because of the cost of the tool. And I found something that either is free or is a nominal cost or a one time, a lifetime,
That's,
charge. So that's usually when I make shifts, but that doesn't mean the other tool wasn't good.
I
Um,
understand.
so, I definitely say when it comes to the tools that you use, again, thinking about how you live, what is most important to you, right?
Hmm.
And not getting on a bandwagon just because your friend has this tool. My family is the oddball in our family. We have Samsung devices, whereas everybody else has iPhone devices. But we stuck with that because it worked best for our environment, and the price point, and it does everything that the iPhone does for us, right? We didn't have the need for the other features that were available. So that's why we chose what we did. So I said, if instead of the apps or the tool specifically, I will say do what works best for you, your pocket, and what it is that you're needing in the moment. I think that that is going to help you as far as apps and tools are concerned.
And I completely understand because I tell that to people when they are looking at planners. I said
Mm-hmm.
you got to look for one, first of all, in your budget. And you
Mm-hmm.
also have to look for one that is going to really help you better manage your time as well as your life.
Right.
Because what works for me may be a little bit too much for you. And then, of course, I
Mm-hmm.
know people who are so organized. It's like, you know what, that's a little way too much for me. I need something. I need something a little bit more simple. So
Right.
I truly, truly understand. Well, Dana, as always, it is a pleasure to talk to you. So, how can people connect with you, sign up for your courses, listen to your podcast?
The best place to go is dlmorales.com. That is going to have everything. The podcast links are there. You will be able to see obviously all of our past episodes as well as any other episodes that I've done. I usually put them there under the resources tab. The courses are available there. An Organized Academy, which is free to join. Once you join Organized Academy, it has our full list of catalogs of on-demand courses. And then on the website, dlmorales.com, you will also see any events I have coming up because we do live workshops that actually become our on-demand courses. So I always say it's better to get in on the live workshops because you do get me physically on the computer and are able to ask me questions or get clarity on any of the content that you may be taking in. But if you can't do that, then the on-demand course is just a recording of that. So I definitely say dlmorales.com, and then my social media handles Dana LaRieal Morales on both Instagram, Facebook, and then I'm also on LinkedIn, but Instagram and Facebook is where most people find me.
And of course, everyone either watching or listening, you know, I will have all of Dana's links in the show page. So, again, Dana, thank you so much for joining me today.
Anytime, anytime. I love coming and talking to you.